Alrighty, so we'll bring the CDC meeting to order. All present staff as noted. Approval of our minutes is what it says supposedly, Mr. Watson.
There are no corrections on the minutes. Good job.
Alright. Kevin, you got any minute comments or anything?
No, I was virtual.
Thank you. Department presentations are none, and discussion action items. The first item, resolution 3170, payment reservation. There you go.
Good evening, council members. My name is Ken Gill. I'm your assistant. So, for those of you that I haven't been able to introduce to, I used to work for the city of Bonney like 20 years ago at your annex. So,
What were you doing then?
so Skyline 5 and 6 was water and sewer was getting installed.
Civil or something?
So I was inspecting the water and sewer for climate first.
Hmm.
So, but
I was still here.
We can't get rid of him now.
But today we're here to talk about paving a road. So the road we're talking about is 200th Avenue, Court East. So you guys probably know where that's in town. But for those of you who don't, imagine you all walk downstairs and went to Lowe's. So you drive past Lowe's, and it's this section where the ped crossing is, where the giant drive, and goes to 104th. That's the signal. You turn right at to go to the high school.
Okay.
So it's that section that you did avoid the potholes that Bruce filled last summer, and there's no paint or reflectors left.
Mm-hmm.
So this project is unique in that it really showed how the public bid process works in our favor. We had 8 bids, and I'm going to read you the high to the low. So the low was $329,000. Sorry, the high was $329,000. The low was $241,000. So with an engineer's estimate at $320,000. So Becker Blacktop in Sumner is the apparent low, and give Dion Payne credit. She's our contract administrator. She checked out to make sure that they weren't debarred or paid their taxes, and all the things that they're supposed to do so that they get clear in the public works contract. So
Have they worked for us before?
I don't believe so, but they've worked for Buckley. So I reached out to them. That good work for them. So
Did you figure out why they missed so badly?
well, initially that was my, but reached out to another one of my peers that I work with is Active Construction down on River Road in Piano. Has done a lot of work for them. That speaks highly of them. And one of the advantages that Becker Blacktop has is that they own their own grinding machine. They do their own traffic control, and they own their own trucks. So they don't have any sub-consultants for a grinder. They don't have any sub-consultants for traffic control, which can really drive up the cost. But if you look at the dollar amount they're paying for asphalt, they're clearly buying their asphalt from one of the people that make it, like 2C or Miles. So their bid is balanced the way it looks, the way it should. The other thing that's got going for them is they're just down at the bottom of the summer. They're very close to us. In your council packet is the bid tabulation that shows the range of bids we got. And there's also your CIP budget. This is where we're getting the money from, so that's the maintenance overlay. So budgeted $451,000 for this. The bid is total bid was $241. The required expenditures on your agenda bill is $266. So that's the 10% contingency we use for our projects, so that we don't come back to you for anything else. This still leaves you a budget balance listed on the agenda bill. I included the cover sheet so you know where it's at. But that's all I had to present tonight. Do you guys have any questions?
Was this one Kelly had a question on?
No, not he. Never mind that.
Yeah. This one's okay.
So
So this, of course, in the future years, is that totally redone by, who are those guys? Cascadia, whatever you want to call them. Are they responsible for the rebuild of this section or something? This is the previous section there where they're widening it out or something. Are they all done with all of that, the requirement stuff that they're doing there?
I believe so. I mean, they got it up to
They did get it forward.
Yeah, that's where all stops right there.
They're all
That's all done.
finished with their part now. So we're not left with anything that they have to.
That was help that roadway locked all the traffic on there.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, so how long do we think that's gonna take? And
Excellent question. So, the reason why we're, open to bids, did the agenda packet the same day it was due, is because we need to do this in August so that we can have it done before school starts in September.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Good idea. Makes sense.
So need your help on the next council meeting to award it so that we can
Yeah.
I'm rock and roll.
go pay. Yep.
Are they ready to go if he gets approved?
But we spoke with them the day that we opened bids, and they're excited. We sent them the contract, so they're working on that. That's the reason why it's not signed in your packet. I'm sorry,
Right.
but they're excited and ready to go.
Good. Sounds good, I'm good. So we can put this on the next consent. Excellent work. Thank you, very well presented. Next resolution is 3171. Striping, I think, yep, sidewalk. Oh, no, sorry, sidewalk is,
That's what Kelly was asking about.
this is one, yeah, in.
Okay.
The Drew thing.
Yes. Okay, so Agenda Bill 23 dash 113, authorizing the award of contract with Diversified Holdings Northwest for the 2023 sidewalks extension project. So the sidewalk gaps selected are the prioritized, or per the prioritized extension list that we developed at CDC. The project will focus on the gaps along the Angeline Road corridor and add approximately 1,300 feet of sidewalk between Van Dyke Street and 101st. The city opened 6 bids on June 20th, 2023, from Diversified Holdings Northwest, submitted the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $368,820. For budget, we have $460,795 current balance in street CIP sidewalk. Staff is also requesting a 10% construction contingency of $36,882, which would bring the total construction approval amount to $405,702 and a budget balance of $55,093.
Just to make it complete along your line there, is that a 2-stop? Is that what, that'd be a solid?
It'll basically make it complete from, say, Copperfield, which is 101st, to Panorama Boulevard.
And
Where are the bus
Boulevard,
stops?
so it's city limit.
Panorama Boulevard, it's
Oh,
like
it's almost.
in about mid
It's
engine
the top of the
it
thing.
goes up to the.
Sorry about that.
so do we know where the bus stops are there?
Suppose we could probably find out from the school district, but
They move them around all.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. Like, I remember when we did this long list of things that were prioritized.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it'd be good to make sure that we got, because there were a couple of neighborhoods down there that were like disconnected, but the kids had to walk from one neighborhood to the other to get stopping over. And I was like, is that solved?
it does for the stops between Panorama and 101st.
Because we went through the matrix a long time ago and did a bunch of stuff with it, staff did a lot of work about it. Then got moved that was a particular attribute that they looked at. And
Well, in the last 2 years, we talked about that a year or two ago.
was there like a specific section you had a question on or something? Because Tom mentioned.
And I was just wondering if we were cognizant of that when we were. We went through and identified these, right?
Yeah, they went through a prioritization matrix. So there's always the professional opinions on whatever was the priority, right? It's like, oh, this is okay.
Angeline's one is we see that it's about 2. It's sure care about
Oh,
that.
yeah, and we fixed our piece down there. So, there any just for public knowledge of like how much sidewalk cost is, but any idea on how much we get for whatever this project is?
Probably about 300 foot,
300 feet or whatever it is for
$300 a foot.
$300 a foot.
That's what did.
Yeah, because it's like 1,400 feet.
But it's also that number also includes
Curb.
cement curb and gutter,
Is this end up on being both sides or didn't? Because so you didn't
On
put
that
swale on one
section?
side.
of Angeline, it would have sidewalk on both sides of the road. But I mean, that cost also includes utilities, hydrants, and water services. And,
Right, yeah.
I mean, just a kind of general number. This one's not.
Yeah, I think I calculated it.
It does, it does. Especially when you do it with, like Andrew's talking about, with the group, all the stuff in the way. Facilities and all. Definitely not greenfield development.
There was actually a segment that we took out
Mhm.
of our contract just because a preliminary plat came in, and
Sure.
which included frontage improvements and sidewalks. So we pulled it.
Yep.
So if there's a sidewalk on the other side of the road, right?
There isn't. There's no sidewalk on the other side.
I think there is.
Oh, is there?
Is on this segment.
So the kids don't have to cross the street. Doesn't
They're
say,
following your chickens.
right?
Never give it consideration, you just look at the map, we talked about it before, we had a map showing all the sidewalks, and we need to complete that one.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
It's fine, but
Sad that it costs so much to do these things, but it's what we end up having to do in areas when we're, it's, it is what it is, I don't know.
the budget balance is $55,000, and Ryan, in his email, Kelly was that there'll be more done next year. So this budget only include this year's amount? The one you're showing here? Is that for the biennium?
I think the balance is, yeah, so that, I'm pretty sure we can use that balance.
Yeah, just make sure that that accounting is aware of that, right? Because we had issues where we accidentally forget to notify them that, hey, we didn't spend that, and they don't move it over.
There's so many sidewalks we need, I'm gonna lose that one.
Oh, yeah, we didn't spend it over here, we want to make sure.
It's the church lake sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right.
From the corner.
Sometimes signed, vote for sidewalks and Watson.
I got a call today about that.
Okay.
We had a
About
good
church
time.
lake sidewalk?
Out the area right there.
Okay.
Good traffic over there.
Yeah.
Ball field. Nice conversation.
Now you show those?
And then I asked him, I forgot, but I should also talk to Ron. Tell me about that.
I've had one for this conversation lately. I don't know what to do.
You should check with Tom Watson, see what he said. He's talking to me.
So,
I'm okay. I think it's important to go over this stuff. You just, yeah, I'm gonna go make sure I actually understand.
yeah.
Well, he's got a good point for next year with what we're doing this year. Already there.
I mean, and maybe we can make sure to like go over the matrix and the priorities are still there and we have that all laid out. Yay, we can move it forward to the next available council. Put it on the consent agenda and then see who wants to be a jerk and pull it off.
Maybe next time, just give us the picture and location. What year before, that'd be easy one to include. Yeah, we can look at what you're doing down here in the back.
Yeah.
We can
We just
check
have
that.
a project site location, but not a photo.
Right,
Yeah,
that's what
not a photo.
the sidewalks.
Okay.
Like a street view.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had those way back when we talked about. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, we'll move along. Resolution 3172. Now we can talk about surface treatments. Surface treatment project. Is that what we call striping nowadays?
I can weigh in on that.
Steve,
I'm gonna present.
Yeah.
And just specifically for the name of the contract, I'll just lay this out. So, so it's easy peasy for Keith. Because I advertised this contract, but, we had multiple schedules in it. It included a chip seal coat, striping, pavement markings, and also car striping at parks.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of trying to come up with a long way of saying all that work, I just called service treatments.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So this is for the chip seal and the seal code. AB 23-114, authorizing award of contract with Doolittle Construction LLC for the 2023 surface treatment project. The 2023 chip seal project includes 29,120 square yards of chip seal, 10,333 square yards of seal coat, and miscellaneous street striping and pavement markings. The city solicited quotes for the 2023 surface treatment project using the MRSC small works roster on June 23rd, 2023. Doolittle Construction submitted the lowest responsive quote in the amount of $247,101. The city has included a 5% contingency in the amount $12,355.05 for total construction approval request in the amount of $259,456.05. For the budget, we have a CIP chip seal program with a current balance of $266,174.39, an ending balance of $6,718.34. Staff recommendation is for approval. Any questions?
There we hear. Nothing.
A lot of strikes,
Yes.
a lot of cop stops, right? Who decides where the cop stops go?
Stop bars.
Yeah.
And we just follow the NVTC for their location.
Do we apply any judgment? Like, there's a couple of cop stops in the city that I think are a little too far back, and there's some that are like way too far forward.
Yeah, I think, each intersection site distance is a little bit different. I think that plays into it as well.
Yeah.
You want to be able to stop where you can also see.
Right.
Problem on Bonney Boulevard and Locust when you're going west.
It's like you live there or something.
It's off the hand. Bring it up. You get down the bottom of the hill and you look on Locust and the guy's already rolling across there. Because when you look at it, and that stop is, like you're talking about, is way too far. You'd be able to see that from your direction when you're coming down that intersection.
Make sure you get out there with your paint.
I'll go make it.
Well, I will guarantee you there's been more than one citizen that's probably thought, I could make this better with a can of paint.
So you said Bonnie Lake Boulevard and Locust?
Locust, yeah.
Okay. We can do it.
When they're going northbound. So that stop sign right there.
Northbound? I really appreciate all the work to put the package together because they're like really good pictures. Yeah, they did a great job.
I was like, wow.
I like the color strategy.
Our GIS analyst, Adam, does a great job for us.
Yeah, that was, makes it the pack. Yep, that's where they go.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, me too.
Alrighty,
I'll be down.
we'll move this one forward to the next available council meeting on the. Okay. Professional services agreement for parametrics for source control inspection program, resolution 31.
So, one we really love.
Yeah.
Talk about red.
Favorites. Yeah, actually Washington used to stormwater permit.
Phase, whatever.
NPS phase 2.
You got
Say I really feel. I just,
your middle name.
I love you, brother. I really do, man. It's awesome.
Just think NPS phase 2.
What? Your best is true. Because I'm like thinking, I'm thinking I would spend $5,000 on this and $65,000 on the place.
there you go.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, we're there, we're on the same
We're all
page.
there. There we go. Because I'm looking at this going, unless it's required, I'm like, GIS a requirement for the law?
For NPS permit requirements specifically,
Yeah.
yes.
If
So
we
our-
have a GIS database?
Our infrastructure, our stormwater infrastructure format, that's required by college, and I thought that it was in the ArcGIS format. So that if they request it, we have to send it.
Yeah, I guess I need to see that RCW, because that seems like that's pretty burdensome.
Well, I mean, not really for
They
us
didn't give us any
specifically,
money to do it.
because we already have that.
Yeah,
program,
yeah,
so
but we're paying for it, and we're paying parametrics to have it to students.
Because we're trying to find out, make sure that, and, staff did a great job of laying out the regulations. They weren't too onerous, but we're trying to figure out a way to like make the actual program as, cost effective as possible.
Yeah.
Because undoubtedly, we know we have to do the program. But how to make it, like, it doesn't, because it's like a top priority, I'm more worried about people stealing stuff out of stores and like, really get exact right spot, but, still have to do it all. But do we have to spend upwards of $75,000? And is that just 1 year?
So yeah, that's just 1 year, but it's up to 34. So we can always stop it at 20 or whatever.
We were that before, that'd be awesome.
Whenever we feel like, because this initial go around with parametrics, they're going to help us kind of set up this program.
Sure.
They're going to, develop this web map and identify all these businesses that we're required to inspect, primarily on the SR 14 corridor, east to west. And they're going to set it up so that, GIS wise, so that all the businesses are listed. So as they're inspected, they'll change from a red to a green. And you can pull up that business and write in the application and see what the inspection result was, what communication we've sent them, what correspondence we've received back, what letters we've sent them.
Is that all required?
It's just,
We can't
It's-
have a
it's-
clipboard with an address on it saying pass.
That's
It's
the thing, right? We're somewhere
It's just-
between, ultimate and
If they ask for that, we copy the paper, mail it to them, say,
Or
our
you
second
stamp
year
on
on
it.
this day, said it passed.
yeah.
How'd that work for Bonney? How did that work for Bonney?
It works in some places really well, right? I'll tell you right now, the government's thanking Boeing for doing that before it drops a nuclear weapon.
Okay, so for that specific question, it's not required in that format. We just have to provide documentation. So if ecology asks us, how did your source control inspection go? Year one.
Sure.
Did you implement it? Yes. Did you meet your required 3 or 4 inspections? Yes. Okay. Can you provide us some documentation?
Right.
So it doesn't have to be in that web GIS format, but it has to be in a format that.
I get that, and I appreciate the hard work you guys do. and stuff. I'm just looking at this, that, first of all, I feel like this, I went back and looked at the original packet, and I'm like, until East Town is built out, I was thinking about what threat vector are we really dealing with here, right? And is it Costco? Is it Lowe's? Is it Home Depot? Who's spoiling the stormwater runoff?
It's more of a regulatory thing than anything else, right?
Right.
Because we don't have a bunch of good bad actors.
Right.
They're probably good at something, but.
So if we did, then I'd be more likely to say, yeah, let's spend $75,000 on it. But no, we have Costco, we have an oil change, some gas stations, Home Depot, right? And, you can really just walk around the business with a checklist and go, yep, and say I'm done. Right? I like it.
It was my best.
Yeah.
So if you can find ways to cut down this expense, we didn't like in the first place. Or it'd be nice to save a few dollars for something else.
See if they have the ability to kind of think critically about what's required and where we can do that, so that we can meet the expectations of the state requirements without, getting carried away.
Do you have a deadline for this?
End of the year.
So we can bring it back to this again.
Oh, yeah, we can do that, sure. Yeah.
No, we were really.
That was the problem we had last
appreciative
week,
of the
was they told us how to do it.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're much.
I know. Somebody has to hold it. It's like what we need, any of us, another requirement that we need. Oh, great.
It's 75,000.
I mean, yeah, certainly we can cut down of inspections that we would need the support with. Because I mean, ultimately it was the intent is, this is going to be a multi-year inspection effort.
Oh, yeah.
Like probably 5 years before we can get them all done. And so, what we wanted to do was just get like a kickstart, a jump start on it with support, training, so staff is going along with the
That
consultants
makes sense.
for the inspections, and then once we feel, hey, we feel comfortable, we know this program, we know this process, we're going to take over. And so years 2, 3, 4, 5, our intent is for it to be city staff doing the whole thing.
Cool. We'll get there someday.
Yeah, appreciate it. Sorry, you guys do good work. I'm just like, I'd rather spend the money in other places. I feel better.
All right. Any other items here? We got
One more.
We got one more, number 5. What is it? I got to scroll up here. I'm going to scroll. Do you know what it is, Tom? Yeah, that was it.
Hearing examiner services.
Oh, hearing examiner after straightforward. Now, is that, did Doug think of that? That's me hanging out. Like, Doug's just like there. He's not even like video.
Like, turn on the camera.
Hearing examiner?
Yep, so this is one, Jason was gonna bring forward, he's on a well-deserved vacation.
Okay.
So back in June of this year, we added an appellate hearing examiner to hear appeals to hearing examiners. The way the code is written right now is appeal of a hearing examiner decision would go to you, which I don't think you want to do, and neither does the city attorney think that it's appropriate to go to city council.
Why is it inappropriate? So I wanted to pick on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, generally, it's my experience, because I think eons ago they did kind of do.
Yeah, they did, so.
Yeah,
the hearing
that
examiner-
was my other question.
Even when it comes to, I think it comes to the council's quasi judicial kind of thing.
Correct, yeah.
So
So-
you're screwed. You really don't want to put yourself in, because the quasi judicial, that's what the council is a judge, altogether as a judge. So you get into these legalistic kind of like, they're appealing because of the regulatory kind of framework, and you're acting as that legalistic kind of thing, and then you have citizens or whoever saying, why can't I, or can I, or should I, decide that they're on. Council's in a position of having to make a legal argument when, they're thinking that that's not your role. So it puts the council in a really bad position.
And you'd have to disclose any ex parte communications, so you really couldn't have any conversations with any of them. If you did, somebody could essentially call you out and challenge you. And you said, I talked to Joe Blow about this, so you'd have to recuse yourself, you'd have to step down. If it was a very controversial issue, that could, decimate the numbers on the council, so that we wouldn't have a quorum to actually make.
No.
Good question. I don't know if the council couldn't hear it.
Because I was just thinking, when I read that, I was like, oh, wait a minute. So we have somebody who went through the bureaucracy and said, oh, I'm getting trampled, right?
Yeah.
And then they come to their citizen,
Hearing examiner.
well, hearing examiner, said, nah, we're doing this. And they go, well, I disagree with hearing examiner. So then they petition the public servants who are fellow citizens, i.e. the council, to say, hey, what's going on? I'm getting crushed by bureaucracy here. Can you guys help? We're taking that out of their hands. We're putting them back into more bureaucracy, right? And
If you're in the legal realm, because it's not not a decision where you have the,
Yeah, it becomes an
Yeah,
audit.
so-
Yeah, so I
objective.
understand that.
objective decision based on laws before you.
There's tens of thousands of citizens serving in a legal function today
Sure.
on juries, right?
Oh, yeah.
And with proper coaching and good legal counsel, they send people to prison for their whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that. I mean, I get the seriousness of it. I would expect counsel would give you good advice, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, the thing I'm struggling with is I'm the bulwark against larger bureaucracy. But so the hearing examiner this should be a rare case, right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So then,
And just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just keep in mind, you've already approved this code. You've already established office of an appellate hearings.
Okay.
Council did that. So this is now appointing Phil Albright's firm as the appellate hearing examiner, allowing the mayor to sign the contract. On call is the contract.
right,
And as Jason noted in the agenda bill, it's basically for unhabitable buildings, structures, which is a very rare occurrence.
right, I get it. I just wanted to have the discussion with my fellow council members, because when I was reading this, I came to that conclusion. I'm like,
So I
I'm
guess
super sensitive to lots of these topics.
you know, maybe
And
the
I'm like,
best.
what do I really believe here? I'm like, no, I really want to serve the citizens, and I just delegated that responsibility.
Yeah.
So, I guess now I understand why.
And I guess maybe the best example I could give you, I used to work at Gig Harbor. We had a conditional use permit for a bed and breakfast on the waterfront. Controversial. I can't remember if the hearing examiner approved it or denied it, but the appeal rose to the city. There were 2 or 3 council members. Conversations with, citizens of the town, and, they had to recuse themselves and step down from the back. Leave the room. And in that case, we didn't get to the point of, we still had 4 council members left to render a decision, but just after going through that whole process and in another jurisdiction, and the council didn't want to have anything to do with it and said, dump it back on the hearings.
And so then the other point, I think I thought of, I think everything we do, we're the legislature.
Yeah, no.
It's about law. Yeah, I find myself reading code every week.
But we make the law,
Right.
We make the preference. 25
Sure.
on the street.
Right.
Once you drove 30 on the road and they come and said, well, I had a good reason for having 30 because dog to the doctor. And you're the council, you're supposed to say, oh yeah, okay, that's okay. Oh, you were 30 miles an hour. So, and you're the ass, because you're on the council, you don't understand their plight as a citizen, having to drive 30 to take their only child to the doctor. And you're just being a jerk because you're still, well, you gotta pay the ticket. Why put yourself in that position?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
I know, that's just my experience.
Because otherwise, what's the poor citizen gonna do in some cases where they, when
They broke the law.
with unhabitable zone?
Yes.
Maybe. Right?
Oh, yes. Yes. They didn't turn their water on, they didn't have the sewage hooked up, they, clearly, I guess it could be kind of subjective to an extent, but man, when you get to where you do an uninhabitable building, that's an ugly thing.
You would say first, right?
Yeah, we read that first.
Okay,
Gosh, I don't know.
all right, I needed to have this conversation, because I was like,
It is opinionated, obviously there's an opinion there, but,
what's
they're
my
like,
role, right? I mean,
Yeah, several years ago, I remember we had a mobile, as Dan was alluding to, sewer wasn't hooked up, they were defecating in a tub, it was an elderly lady, health condition. And declared the residents unhappy.
They want to see the
so
view.
separate from this meeting, I'll share my own personal experience in the city.
So again, council's already approved the appellate hearing examiner appointing Phil Holmgren as the appellate hearing examiner, and then signing the contract for.
We can always change it later.
Exactly.
Need to eliminate this position, this, we might have us take care of it.
Well, we'll be on contract then, won't we?
Yeah.
All right, but it is, you know, you good points, right? But it's a very seldom that you ever get it. Very seldom.
It'd be worth discussion for the whole council at some point, but.
Really?
Huh?
I'll let you do that. Oh, we'll schedule that for the next
Yeah,
workshop.
yeah.
I'll let Terry know.
I didn't realize all the background that John just threw about.
It's some good information.
Right, it's.
Yeah, I see John's point that we've already discussed whether or not we're ceding our responsibility. This is about just finding somebody that will. So I gotta ask, you know, I'm gonna ask,
What if we do that?
what if we don't assign somebody?
Then it comes to us, apparently, in the worst case.
Well, I mean, worst case, we would have, first of all, we'd have to have an appeal of a hearing examiner decision on unhabitable residence. We didn't have somebody, and since our code calls for one, we'd have to go out and try and find somebody and try to get them to do hear this one-off case. Or go back and amend the code that we just adopted and put the council back.
So you both really believe in advice?
I think so.
My experience would tell me, yeah, I agree with what the staff is recommending. I understand what you're saying, no.
And I see both just sides of the reason.
Boy, I mean,
Okay, I'll have to go back and listen.
quasi judicial is always like a place I never wanted. Because then you have to make that stupid legal. I like to make opinionated calls. I want tulips instead of roses. I like to make those calls.
Yeah.
I don't want to make that. You drove 30 and 25.
But again, good legal counsel, that shouldn't be hard for you, right?
True, but you're still you're
You're
on
making
the
a
other side.
decision, right, yeah.
You're still an a-hole because I'm trying to get my. They're talking to death, and you're just being a jerk by giving me a ticket.
Or we're not talking about the council giving tickets.
Right.
Or hearing appeals on tickets.
On tickets.
Wander around.
Unhabitable.
We can try.
Because then you want to have full discussion.
Oh, what do you want? You want to have it on full council?
I don't.
Well, you give the background to it. You can, I'll bring popcorn.
Yeah, wander around the road you don't want to go on.
What do you think, Tom? Should for full council or not? I think we already voted on the initial issue.
That's
The
what I was
initial
gonna
one,
say.
I would say,
Council was
now we're
already-
full council. This I would be.
I would say.
Okay. Put it on consent.
Put it on consent? All right, we'll put this one on consent. You guys have any open discussion items then?
I did.
Okay.
So on Church Lake, right there at the corner, right?
No.
There's a new barrier. Is there a new barrier that we put up there?
Oh, yeah.
Guardrail.
I thought that was yours.
That guardrail?
I don't know
Yes.
who we know that lives over there. So we've been over there all the time. Right by your sign. I thought you put, you put the guardrail. You put
Well,
the
that's
sign.
why I asked.
Is it in the way of your
That's why I
sign?
know. That's why I asked if my wife's like, person really wants the guardrail. So she was doorbelling, and she goes, that person really wants a guardrail. And then that week, a guardrail showed up. And I'm like, no.
It was like in your yard.
That's wrong.
Not in your guardrail.
So how did we choose to put a guardrail there?
Well, they've been doing lots of work there. They did the stripes.
Yeah.
Slow down stripes.
I'm
Yeah,
super happy
we've
about
had
it.
a couple instances where, cars have gone through the neighbor's fence.
Oh, yeah.
Missed the corner.
Yeah.
I know that was on sidewalk,
Yes.
missing link
Yes.
map that we had talked about, and then we just put the guardrail.
Yeah, Peterson Brothers did it. It's been in the works for quite a while.
Okay, good.
They've wanted it. Yeah.
And that's on public record.
The Wheelers that live there, they have multiple, and we'll be repairing it, so be prepared for
Did they
a
know?
budget increase.
Did
Oh,
they-
no, they've been asking for years. They've
Oh, yeah.
lived there for 25, 30 years. And
Well, cut
they
down the
have
tree.
people
It's
in
their
their
own
yard.
fault. If they would have left the tree there, they would have had something for somebody to run in.
Well, their fence, I don't know, I've been here 18 years and we used to judge how many times it got hit. This poor Butch would go up and fix his fence
Right.
and somebody would drive through it. Oh, then you'd see a week later, another hole in his fence.
Right.
Oh, they picked a new hole. Thank
Right.
good for Butch. And then, so they've been wanting it for quite a while.
Weird.
And then when they developed that, all those houses in there, I guess it'd be almost 2 years ago, somebody drove through
Yeah.
and went through the fence and they were having to have a function happening. It started raining. They all had gone up on the deck and drove right through where their function was. So
Yeah.
you guys have then now over the last couple of years decided to put a guardrail in the council. So we just.
Had a hole in it about 6 months ago. I've been open for a while.
Only driving as a guys drive or yard all the time. They used to. Now they'll have a nice guardrail about.
Yeah, to direct them back onto the road
Yeah.
instead of the
Put a
yard.
I'm
NASCAR
gonna have to
safety
move,
barrier up.
I
Yeah,
have to
exactly.
move my sign on the other side.
So hopefully when you do your sidewalk extension, we reshape that whole corner because we have quite a bit of right of way there.
Very nice.
And
Yeah, we
super
do.
it the right way and do all that and not make it such a sharp corner. That's
Yeah.
and I'm hoping in the next couple of years you guys do that for us and we'll have a nice,
We'll see what happens, because they're looking at another intersection down there with the roundabout too, actually, that E run or whatever.
West Taps and Church Lake.
Is that what it is, Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we,
That one.
and that'll cost some money because the water line where
Yeah,
that road rises right
Yeah,
there.
Uh-huh.
It has to go lower and all
Yeah,
Okay.
that needs to be lower. When they did the overlay project
Yeah.
10 years ago,
Yeah.
they didn't want to spend the money
Yeah.
to lower the water main at that.
Yeah, and we were told that it was too big of a project for the, or whatever, because it was in that threshold or something, or.
Yeah, we were gonna try to do that ourselves, but we didn't.
Yeah,
Whatever happened. I don't.
yeah. Money.
Money.
So,
Yes.
We may have like $60,000 left over.
Right.
NPDS project.
So the concrete dividers you put in on South Prairie look real nice. But the one in the middle, like you're pulling out of Lowe's, making a left-hand turn out of there, the truck's driving over, it's not gonna last very long. So I stood there, watched them pulling out, it's right in the way. So I don't drive big rigs, but one, he came out and it's all the place he can drive. When he pulled out of Lowe's, made a left-hand turn, and went over the curb right in the middle. It's gonna destroy it.
Yeah, so the plan is to sign that,
Turns for semis.
exactly. To sign that in the left turn
For semis?
for semis.
Really?
Yes.
So how do they get out of Lowe's parking lot?
Turn right.
Make a
Have to go
right, go to
right,
Costco.
And then up to 204,
100.
and then they can have a protected left on 410.
But good luck with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The way they are anymore.
It's hard, it's hard
People
to,
having
it's
to
hard to
sign
make
up
it
there.
work.
Yeah, I do it all the time, and I know, especially in school, that's what it's trying to do. Actually, yeah.
Hopefully we'll have it up there sooner than later, but that curb is tough.
Yeah.
Is it actually buried a little bit, or is that?
It's overall, the length is 16 inches. So 10 of it is subgrade. It's about 12 inches wide, so it's a tank.
Okay. Oh my God.
Kelly, you have anything else? No?
No.
Brian, you have anything? We're just like hanging out.
Yeah, I gotta start timing my attendance here. It's better. It's like everybody gets business done. Under the radar, no, thank you though, I don't have anything else.
All right.
Good job. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. So we're done then. Thank you.
6 o'clock this time. Okay.